Let's put together a scenario. Say I'm a young man who's been living his whole life quite directionless and not knowing how to act or what to do. And you happen to watch this fantastic YouTuber who talks about masculinity. And what he says is quite interesting, so you want to look it up and learn more about it. So I will go into the biggest search engine and look up masculinity. And the entire first page is either people talking about toxic masculinity or only discussing masculinity. And in the people also ask section, the top question is, what is the true definition of masculinity? And this article states that masculinity is the societal expectations of being a man. Well, if that's the case about masculinity, surely it should be the exact same about femininity as well, right? But the entire first page of femininity are definitions, books, and one article. And absolutely nothing opinionated and nothing to talk about toxic femininity. That's quite interesting, isn't it? It's like masculinity is being demonized, and anybody trying to find out about it is instantly pushed onto the narrative that masculinity is toxic. Whereas femininity isn't even pushed onto women because it is seen as weak. And there's absolutely no narrative that is being pushed onto you when you try to read about femininity. Let us masculine men and aspiring masculine men do it in peace. The brainless people that are trying to push this toxic masculinity narrative are women trying to be more masculine and feminist men who are trying to be more feminine. The masculine women are never going to be as masculine and have as strong as characteristics as the real masculine men. And although some men might give away their entire core to be considered equal with women, they simply won't be happy because they're not living true to their core, and when they're being bossed around by a woman who probably has chest hair. They think it's toxically masculine to be physically and mentally strong, deter themselves from being feminine like showing emotion, and work extremely hard to obtain power and status in order to be respected by others. But what happens when all of the safety is gone and somebody is robbing the house of a modern feminist couple? Of course instincts will kick in. The woman will hide and look to her man to protect and save her. The man will then go down and confront the person, but not because he wants to protect his family or his territorial, but because his wife will get upset, and happy wife, happy life. He goes downstairs and either shits himself and runs back upstairs or gets knocked out cold. Because it's toxically masculine to be strong and stoic, so he is not at all ready to protect himself, let alone his house and his family. And either way, whatever happens, his wife is hiding in the bathroom calling the emergency services, in the hopes that a physically and mentally strong policeman who doesn't show emotion and has worked very hard to prove his competence and to obtain power and status in order to gain respect shows up, who will deal with the problem like a real man and not like a feminist man like her husband. And so as the toxic masculinity narrative continues to get pushed, and young men will continue to struggle to find the information that they need to live true to their core and live as a real and masculine man. Even though the people pushing this narrative will need the toxically masculine men to protect them during the bad times, and provide them with buildings to work in, houses to live in, food to eat, electricity, plumbing and safety in knowing that someone will show up if something wrong happens. I honestly used to feel a bit annoyed when I thought about how the modern feminist people push this toxic masculinity narrative, because their message has become very widespread and it has swayed a lot of people's opinions in their favour, instead of letting them choose their own opinions and having critical thinking. But now I just see how laughable it truly is, because it has got to a point where you can take a step back and so clearly see the propaganda that they are pushing. They know themselves that in a time of crisis, they will forget everything they've ever said about toxic masculinity and wish that a strong masculine man would come save them or solve their problems. But I feel a sense of comfort because I'm still able to spread this message of masculinity. The basic fundamental masculinity that makes men feel fulfilled and live a meaningful life. And build a community of men who have a space to be masculine, who aren't constantly being bombarded by modern feminist propaganda. Absolutely keep striving to become the most masculine version of yourself. You're doing great, and you're making me proud if no one else. Keep pushing, brother.